In this video we will summarize one of the films entitled The Mechanic, release on 2011. Spoiler ahead, watch out, and take care. At the beginning of the film, we will be shown a man swimming while accompanied by his bodyguards, but suddenly someone pulled him into the water until he could not breathe and finally he died. The person who killed him managed to escape through the back door, without anyone knowing. The man went into the river to erase his tracks. Then we will be shown someone named Arthur. Like the movie that was seen earlier. He is a professional assassin. Before he executes his target, he always plans a strategy very carefully, so that his target's death seems to be an accident. Not because he was killed. The next day, Arthur met a good friend named Harry. Apparently, Arthur's previous murder was a request from Harry. And Arthur got a very large fee from that mission. Then, Arthur met his superior named Din, to discuss a new mission. Din that while carrying out an assassination mission in South Africa for some time, 5 of his agents were killed. And the only ones who know about the mission are Din and Harry. Din tells Arthur that Harry has betrayed by leaking the assassination mission to the enemy. For more than Arthur. The last Din filled Harry's savings in the last 2 weeks. So, Arthur's mission this time is to kill his own best friend, Harry. Short story. That night Arthur called Harry, who was in the office. Arthur tells Harry to go down to the basement, because someone is coming to kill him. Harry also obeyed all of Arthur's orders. Harry brought a cutout that would be used to turn off the electricity, as per Arthur's directions. Harry then descended using the service elevator. Arriving at the car park, it was Harry who saw his car's glass had been shattered. And there was Arthur there. He just realized that he had been framed by Arthur. So that later, his death as if due to a car accident. Harry, who doesn't want to die with Arthur's plan, asked Arthur to just shoot him. To make his death more honorable. Without thinking, and for the sake of professionalism in work, Arthur immediately shot Harry to death. A few days later, while at Harry's funeral, Arthur meets Harry's son, Steve. Steve asks Arthur for help to take him home. At home, Steve said if Dad did not leave the slightest legacy for him. In fact, his house will soon be confiscated by the bank. Because Arthur feels sorry for Steve, Arthur asks him to meet him at the dog shelter. And they adopted one of the dogs there. Arthur told Steve to take care of the dog, so that later he could work with Arthur. The next day, Steve had to take the dog to the coffee shop, order coffee, and sat by the window playing with the dog for 1 hour. And Steve had to do that every day for the next 3 weeks. While carrying out his duties, Arthur trained Steve's shooting skills. Once it's enough, Arthur handed him a document planning someone's death, and told him to study it. Steve also ends up staying at Arthur's house, because now his house has been confiscated by the bank. A few days later, Arthur invites Steve to go to the house of an illegal gun dealer. After a few chats, without further ado, Arthur immediately killed the person by tying his neck. Arriving home, Arthur gave a document containing the data of someone who would be killed by Steve as his first assignment. It turns out that the target to be killed is a hitman from another group. And Steve's target is also a regular customer of the coffee shop that Steve frequents with his dog. And it turns out, the target's weakness is in handsome young people. And the target is also very fond of dogs. Well, that's why from the beginning Arthur told Steve to raise the dog and go to the coffee shop, so that later Steve could become close friends with the target. After getting to know each other, Steve invites the target to meet at a bar. And before going to the bar, Arthur gave a fluid that was able to stop the work of the heart for 3 minutes. But at the bar, Steve actually discouraged from using the liquid. Steve prefers to do it in a more extreme way. Where when Steve was invited to the target's house to do night activities, Steve began to launch an attack. At first Steve was overwhelmed to fight the man. But with one chance, Steve finally managed to kill his target. A few days later, Arthur again got a new mission from Din. And on this mission, Arthur invites Steve to come with him. Their target was someone famous, who claims to be a prophet named Andrew. The two of them then studied the target document, and then determined how to execute the target using an injection that Arthur would overdose.
Abortion, it was telling your friends it was his.
The next day Arthur and Steve went into action. They enter through the air duct to the sauna room. However, because the situation are not in accordance with what they expect, the two of them ended up changing the plan, which initially used injections, turns into smothering the target's face to death on the spot. After completing their duties, Arthur and Steve immediately ran away. But unfortunately they were caught because of Steve's carelessness. And then there was a gunfight between the two of them and Andrew's bodyguard. Fortunately, because Arthur's plan was very mature, the two of them finally managed to escape and separate themselves. Well, when Arthur was at a station, Arthur accidentally saw one of the 5 agents who were said to be dead in South Africa by Din. Arthur follows him, Din interrogates the agent. Turns out he had been lying all along. Instead, Din gave the agent more money to kill 4 of his friends. The agent then falsified his death data and spread rumors that Harry leaked the mission, so that Din could control the company without any interference from Harry. The meeting ended with a fight between the two, until finally the agent was thrown off the bus by Arthur. Feeling cheated, Arthur then sent a message to Din, that soon Arthur would be looking for him. Then Arthur and Steve returned home to prepare all the equipment to take revenge for Din's actions. But a new problem arose. Steve accidentally found his father's favorite gun in a box belonging to Arthur. But Steve tried to stay professional, and still obey Arthur's orders. On the other hand, realized that Arthur had found his location. Din went out of his office with his entourage. But the group was successfully stopped by Arthur and Steve using a truck they hijacked. Without mercy, they both shot Din to death. After finishing with the action of revenge for Harry's death, the two of them then headed back home. But on the way, Arthur saw Harry's gun was already in Steve's pocket. Now Arthur realizes that Steve already knows if he is the one who killed his father. While refueling his car, Steve deliberately let the gasoline spill. Steve then walked away, and shot the car until it exploded. Then Steve went to Arthur's house to pick up Arthur's car. On the way, Arthur saw a paper containing a message from Arthur to Steve. Steve had time to laugh reading the writing. But moments after reading the letter, the car exploded. Arthur had already predicted that this would happen. So before Steve shoots his car, Arthur jumps out of the car before it explodes. The film closes with Arthur blowing up his house and leaving the place in a car. Thank you for those of you who have watched to the end. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next video.